We got a lone chip down there in Town Square, fresh baked. If you have got a trip planned for Disneyland in March of 2023, or you're thinking about making plans for a trip to Disneyland in 2023, I hope you are ready for one of the best months that this park has seen in quite a while. It's going to be an amazing month. March is going to be fantastic. If you aren't ready, we're going to help you out. And in this episode of Fresh Baked, we are going to try to help you guys out. We're going to fill you in on what the weather's going to be like, what the crowds might be like, what attractions are going to be open, what's new, what events are happening. We're going to talk about all that next, coming up on Fresh Baked. That's right. The star of the show in March 2023 is, of course, going to be Disney's 100th anniversary, which they'll be celebrating throughout the year. And in March, it'll be in its second month. We'll have already been through a month of celebration in February, and I don't expect that the energy and the enthusiasm for this event is going to have dissipated by March, that's for sure. So expect that to be a major component of your visit to Disneyland in March. 100th anniversary stuff happening all over the place. We've got new shows, new merch, new food. Wondrous Journeys, the new fireworks nighttime spectacular, is going to be showing nightly throughout March, but it is going to be projections only Monday through Thursday. Fireworks will occur for Wondrous Journeys only on Friday through Sunday. And then showtimes will be at their usual 9:30 slot for fireworks. Meanwhile, World of Color 1, that is also a new show for the 100th anniversary. That'll be playing over there at California Adventure. That show will be nightly, showing twice nightly actually, Friday through Sunday, once at 9 p.m., another showing at 10:15 p.m., and then it's once only each night at 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday. Back over at Disneyland, if you're a fan of Fantasmic, look for that show to be appearing only on the weekends, Friday through Sunday. No showings of Fantasmic Monday through Thursday. And those will be at their usual Fantasmic show times, 9 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. If you're looking to catch that show and want to figure out what some of the tips and best practices are for catching Fantasmic, watch our video on that. And then right here on Main Street, Magic Happens will be in its second month of its return to Disneyland on Main Street. Also running twice daily, 3:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. We've got, check out our video of that. We did a video a while back of Magic Happens. Great parade if you want to get a little sneak peek at that as well. Behind me is Toontown. By the time March arrives, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway will have already been up and running for a month or so. That opens on January 27th. By then, we'll hopefully have seen our full coverage of that attraction, which we'll be getting to see this weekend. But Toontown will also be open on March 8th. So if you're planning your visit here for any time after March 8th, you're going to get a chance to be among the first to see the new and improved Toontown. We've seen the concept art. We've seen them working on the construction for a while. I'm very excited about the potential of this land. What I've seen so far of just a little bit that we saw when we rode Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway the other day, the land looks more creative, more open almost, from what we saw, the streets and everything. Fresh coat of paint everywhere, new facades. I'm really looking forward to Toontown. Hopefully, as I mentioned, you've already caught our coverage of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That was great. We loved Runaway Railway. We loved the queue. We loved everything about it. So stay tuned to Fresh Baked on that. When we talk about March being one of the best months to visit Disneyland this year, that's one of the reasons why. Toontown, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the 100th anniversary, the new shows, the parade. It's going to be a momentous month. But one of the other fantastic reasons to be visiting Disneyland in the month of March is the weather. The weather is going to be as good as it gets anytime. This is the best weather of the year. It's also the freshest that the park looks all year. Now, forecasts do vary. Depends on which website you go to. This particular website is predicting a little bit of rain, actually, the first week of March Although, hey, how are you guys? How are you? Thank you. Although it is often the case in Southern California where they'll call for rain and then we don't get any at all, or just a little bit of rain. So though there is some expectation for a few days of rain, it's still rainy season per se. My expectation is the weather that you get is going to look a lot like what we're seeing today. And that is low to mid 70s. It won't get any higher. Hey, how are you, man? It won't get any higher than probably 75 or so. No wind. Again, unless you get like a freak Santa Ana or something like that, but just clear, beautiful, pristine skies. And you can pack kind of light. I mean, you do want to bring a light jacket perhaps for the evening. That's always, a good idea because it does get colder at night. How are you guys? It gets cold here at night sometimes. And you want to be prepared for that, that light rain that we might get in that first week of March. But otherwise, it's pretty much the ideal situation. Not too hot, not too cold, perfect Disneyland weather. When planning a trip to Disneyland, people always ask about the weather. The other thing that they always ask about are the crowds, and that's where the good news kind of ends. We're talking about perfect weather, wonderful festivities happening. Crowds are going to get a little dicey here in March, I believe. Now, traditionally, it's still not the busiest time of year. It is a point where the park is starting to wake up from its January and February slumber per se. The weather's better. People, you got a little bit of spring break happening. People start, not fully, the spring break kind of goes between March and April, but it's beginning to happen. But with the influx of these new events, the energy and the excitement of and the desire to be present for the 100th anniversary for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and for Toontown, not to mention Food and Wine, which we're going to get to in a second, but that's also happening in March. I do expect March to be kind of peak when it comes to crowds. It's going to be busy here and busier than you might normally expect it to be in the months of March. I don't have any sort of crowd estimates. They don't give out numbers or anything like that, so I can't just say, X number of people are going to be here. But it's going to be pretty full. It's going to be borderline capacity, in my opinion. So be prepared for that mentally. Don't let that dissuade you from coming to the park, because that's the way it is at Disneyland on most visits. It's very rare that you don't get a near capacity day here at the parks. But just have that in your mind that, be prepared for it to be a little bit more intense than you might normally expect. Hey guys! This is January. I'm filming this in January, and that's what it looks like. So do expect that and more in March. Let's talk next about ride closures. Behind me is Tarzan's Treehouse, soon to be Adventureland Treehouse. That will be closed for the entire month of March. The French Market and the Mint Julep Bar will be closed it's open-ended. March 1st, definitely. My expectation is through the entire month. There is no date, though, on the calendar because we cannot see past the 8th, March 8th. On the calendar, so we don't know for sure when the return date is, but my expectation is all of March. The Mark Twain will be closing on March 6th. I don't know what for, although this happens frequently between the Mark Twain and the Columbia. They often go down for refurbs that usually only last a few days each, so I have no expectation that it's going to be beyond that. There's no date given yet on the calendar. As I mentioned before, it only goes up to March 8th presently as we film this. But I do believe that the Mark Twain will be down just for a couple days. I hope you don't miss it, because I don't think any Disneyland trip is complete without a trip around the rivers of America on either the Mark Twain or the Columbia. So the Columbia may have to do the trick if you were here while the Mark Twain is closed. When you arrive at Disneyland in March, do expect to find Adventureland in this condition. That is to say, Indiana Jones will be closed all month. As we already mentioned, Tarzan's Treehouse or Adventureland Treehouse will be closed all month, and you should expect these walls, as we round the corner into Adventureland, these walls to be up for that entire time, as they are up for Indiana Jones and Tarzan's Treehouse. They're not affecting the Jungle Cruise or Bengal Barbecue. Jungle Cruise will load from right there, or that's where the queue enters. And then obviously Bengal Barbecue, you can see it's open down here at the end. So you can still do Jungle Cruise, you can still eat at Bengal Barbecue, just no Indiana Jones, no Tarzan's Treehouse, and there is no exit from this part of Adventureland. You have to turn around and go back. Forgive the brief Adventureland montage. I do love me a little interlude now and then in my shows. But let's continue with the ride closures. We'll go to DCA next, where Grizzly River Run is closed, or will be closed in March. Like the others, it'll be closed as of March 1st, and then indefinitely beyond that. We don't yet know what their reopening date is. You can also expect to find Silly Symphony closed for at least a portion of March, off the calendar as of March 1st. No opening date for that one as of yet. And finally, though there's no closures per se, you can expect to find a lot of construction happening at Pacific Wharf. They are beginning the process of converting Pacific Wharf into San Francisco. It is actually finally happening. We've been waiting for this one for a little bit. They announced it a while ago. So look for a lot of construction walls and scrim to be up and around Pacific Wharf. I believe they've actually already drained the wharf area, the river around it. So what else should you expect in March? Well, as I alluded to earlier, you're starting to see the beginnings of spring break crowds start to come into the park in the later part of the month. Although that's not really a contributing factor in terms of, I don't know, it being any different than any other year. There are always a smattering of spring break crowds to contend with, so that's kind of a standard. But one thing that you might find differently this year than you could have in years past, and this too will be a contributing factor in terms of how much more busy it is in the parks than it normally would be in the month of March. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the 100th, we've got Toontown, we've got Railway. You've also got some guests, some local. You're going to have more local traffic due to the fact that Disney has been selling the 3-day SoCal ticket. It's a 3-day ticket sold at a discount as low as $73 per day, but it's weekdays only. They are not including weekends now, or in this particular offering, the SoCal ticket. I bring that up where, because of this, you might find the park to be a little busier than you normally might during the week. Disney has done a very fine job of leveling the field, leveling the crowds out between weekends and weekdays, and this particular move is one of those instances. They are encouraging, particularly locals. This is a SoCal ticket only, so they're encouraging locals to visit more often during the week and discouraging them from visiting on the weekends. This is also affected by the way that they're managing the Magic Key calendar. The predominance of Magic Key holders are locals. It is very difficult still to get a weekend reservation in the parks, whereas it's a little less difficult to get them as a single day or multi-day ticket holder. Matter of fact, while we're on the topic, if any of you Magic Key holders are watching right now, if you're listening, check the Magic Key. Start thinking about booking your March reservations pretty early, because the same rules apply to you as they do to everybody else in terms of how busy the park is going to be. It's going to be busier for you and me as it is for everybody else. If you have any dates in mind in March, I expect them to be pretty competitive very soon. It's wide open right now, but I expect them to be pretty competitive soon. You know, actually, that reminds me, this wasn't on my bullet point list for this video, but I just recalled that Disney has begun reselling or selling Magic Keys again. They're still selling. You don't even have to wait anymore now. There's no queue, but they're still selling Imagine, Believe, and Inspire. I don't know for how much longer that's going to be, but that's another contributing factor to seeing perhaps a busier park in March. There's a lot of things going against Disneyland right now in March. I'm just saying, in terms of crowds, it's going to be a magnificent, spectacular, wonderful month. I am positive of that, if you could just get past the crowds. But that's just one more contributing factor to how busy it will be in March. I can't believe I've gotten this far into this video and I still haven't talked about the Food and Wine Festival. You know, the 100th is a big deal, but so too are the Food and Wine Festivals, you know, all of them throughout the year. And the original Food and Wine Festival, the Food and Wine Festival, will be here in March. Always a great time, and was always going to pull a goodly amount of crowds. Lots of new food to try. Stay tuned for a foodie guide from Fresh Baked, and stay tuned for our coverage from the event. It's going to start on March 3rd. Food and Wine Festival starts on March 3rd over at Disney's California Adventure. Always a great time. Can't wait. And then one final bit of business. March 7th and March 9th are going to be... Hey, how are you?
I love your content.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Fresh Baked. Right over here.
Oh, hey. Hi, guys. March 7th, March 9th, Princess Night, the first ever Disney After Dark event, Princess Night. Those are the only two nights. There's actually, can you believe this? There's still tickets available. I wonder if maybe they overestimate everybody's desire for a Princess Night. Valentine's Day or Valentine's Night, Sweetheart's Night, that's sold out. But I'm kind of wondering why, you know, they may have overthought the After Dark events. But anyway, on those nights, March 7th and March 9th, if you have a reservation for one of those days and you don't have a ticket for the Princess Night After Dark event, you will be asked to leave the park at 8 p.m. The park closes to regular guests at 8 p.m. And I think that about covers it for March, guys. We covered everything. We covered crowds, weather, ride closures, what's new, what's happening, the 100th Toontown. Man, it's going to be such a good month. I hope you guys can make it. We'll be here, obviously, for a good chunk of that month. I hope we see you there. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe. Oh, gosh, I forgot to do my outro. Follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's Fresh.E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. And if you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/FreshBaked. Also, if you're looking to plan a trip, if you haven't yet, and you are looking to plan a trip for March or any other month for that matter, and for any other park, contact Getaway Today. There's a link in our description. Contact Getaway Today for your plans, be that for Disneyland, Disney World, March, April, May, whatever, Universal Studios, you guys name it. Great bunch of folks at Getaway Today. They'd love to hear from you. Tell them we sent you. Matter of fact, I think they got a special going on, like an extra day free or something like that. Use the link in the description below, and then that's it, guys. We'll see you next time. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked.